Are you with us?
Yes.
It's happening. We're going to do it again. Here we go.
No, I'm doing my thing. I'm doing like a whole character.
They can't see you on.
Oh, they can't? Okay. I was trying to do my Austin Powers. Okay, let's do it again.
This is what I go through. Hi, everybody. It's your girl, Loni Love, for another exciting week. Emmy-winning talk show host and comedian.
And I'm Erica Montolfo, writer, showrunner, and of course, most importantly, Loni's super fun sidekick.
And we want to thank you all for joining us for another episode. We have a really good one today. For our grown-ass topic today, we'll be talking with Marsha Warfield about rediscovering yourself after 40.
Legend.
She is a legend. We want to give a shout out to all of our listeners who have been sending us emails and recordings. We just love hearing from you guys. If you want to share your thoughts on the show or tell us about what's on your mind, record a voice message if that's better for you on our website. Yes, we have a website, people. It's GAWTpod.com.
If you're listening to this on your phone, follow us on Instagram. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. And finally, you guys, we have a special request for all of our listeners. We're on a mission, reach 1,000 YouTube subscribers. Now help us out by subscribing to our channel and sharing our videos with your friends.
It's that simple. Now that we've done all of that, let's catch up with Erica. Erica, what's on your mind?
Oh, well, thank you. You know this is my favorite part of the show. But I will say, I'm ready to give you a Huxtable update because you love those.
Yes.
I have a little bit of a beef, not with you, but with the Huxtables, because it's turned out that you are officially more popular in the Huxtable household than even I am. Okay?
I'm not surprised.
I mean, listen, they love them some Loni.
But I love them. What? No. What happened? What happened? What you do?
I feel some kind of way about it, but you know how we have our little brunch on Sundays, and so they, first of all, are very happy with the progression of the show, and they've all weighed in to say that, here's the quote unquote, you guys are getting way better. You guys are getting better at the show. So, just so you know out there, the Huxtables are my family, and they have this recipe for raising me, which is, you know, a lot of encouragement with just a tinge, like a little dash of shade.
And I love it.
Which is the recipe for Erica. It's like just a dash of enough to make me feel, you know, have to go to therapy. That's what we're doing.
That is not true. I mean, the thing is, they are helping us, okay? So I think that that's great. I think that, you know, this is what family is about. And when you're building something from the ground up like we are, you do want to hear from people,
Sure.
unlike James, who has not listened
well,
at all.
James is smart because James knows I have beef with him and he's coming for me if he ever listens. So Claire Huxtable was very upset last week when we're talking about Jay-Z and this kind of unsubstantiated rumors about his involvement in the Diddy situation, right? And so you let it slip that you had some unsubstantiated rumors about you and that you felt very strongly about, you know, people coming out with just all kind of willy-nilly accusations. So Claire Huxtable was like, who's coming for Loni? You need to stick up for her. And I was like, I don't know. She's like, you need to find out and you need to make it clear to whoever that is, like I run Hollywood, that Loni is above board.
I didn't let it slip. I said it. I mean, everything that I say, I am saying, you know, for a reason. I like to share, just like you're sharing your family.
Well, just so you know, Claire Huxtable and I are coming from, for anyone who comes for you, all 125 pounds of us, we will cut a bitch over our Loni love.
That is so sweet. And anybody that comes for you, believe me, I've been in this business a long time. I know how to handle it. You just, you know, it comes and goes. When you are an opinionated person, and as we're seeing with even with this election, things will happen. You know, you have to deal with it, and we will deal with it accordingly. But I appreciate that. So, Claire Huxtable, Thank you.
Listen, look at these arms. I'm like, meow, 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 meow. Scrappy AF.
I think with you, there needs to be some therapy. We're going to talk about that with Marsha Warfield about therapy for certain people.
I'll cut a bitch over you, Lonnie Love.
Oh my goodness!
Mark my words.
Non-violence is the answer.
All right.
But I appreciate that so much, and I appreciate this episode and you, Erica, because we have a great one today. We're going to get into all sorts of stuff. We're going to be talking about Kamala and the brothers, Elon and his robots, and some grown-ass fashion news. And in today's grown-ass topic, we're going to be joined by our friend Marsha Warfield about rediscovering yourself after 40. We'll get into all of that and more after the break. This is Grown-Ass Women Talking. Are you a grown-ass woman with something to say? What are you unapologetic about? What's got you fired up?
Are you thrilled the kids are back in school? Or are you mad at your friends for asking you out after 9 p.m.? Did you get stood up on your third Tinder date this week? Whatever it is, let it all out.
Visit our website at gawtpod.com and leave us a voice message. That's gawtpod.com, or drop us a voice note at gawtpod@gmail.com. We might just play your message on our next episode.
So don't hold back. This is your space to talk about it.
And we're back with more GAWT. Now it's time for Grown Ass News. Each week, I'll get Erica's take on the week's entertainment news, current events, and news about grown ass women. And you know what it is. Time for Erica. An election update.
Graphics. How much is this graphic costing me?
You know, it's not a lot, okay? It's very important because there's a lot going on with the elections. First of all, VP Harris ramps up her attacks on Trump's fitness for office. And after seeing Trump dancing at this last rally, I could kind of understand why.
This is a move.
VP Harris is calling Donald Trump incredibly unstable and unhinged. Kamala Harris showed a clip where he called distractors the enemy from within, and both candidates were in Pennsylvania just weeks away from the election this week. I mean, right now, all you're going to see is a bunch of battleground states, and everybody is in those battleground states. Even Tim Walz, they had him over there in a pumpkin patch talking to the rural people. I said, they got boo-boo in a pumpkin patch. Like
He
pumpkins
loves
is
it
all
there.
around him, you know.
But he looks very comfortable there, though.
He does. But let's talk about this whole thing with this last rally that Trump was at, and he was supposed to, answer questions because it was a town hall. Then all of a
Right.
sudden he just goes, you know what, let's listen to some music. And so he starts playing his playlist, which is all these songs that I know are probably not even approved, and he's probably going to
No.
get a bunch of lawsuits.
Absolutely.
I mean, for like 30 minutes, he played this playlist, and was just, what's going on?
Well, I heard that supposedly it was very hot inside the arena, and so people
Yes.
people were falling out and being carried out on stretchers. So instead of saying like, "Hey, I hope these people are okay," and making an announcement, he just like, "Hey, let's have a dance party." Like, that's so him. He doesn't care about anybody but himself.
Well, he was also in Coachella, and at Coachella, he had the people come all the way out, and they had buses because you don't drive in. They had buses, but when they were leaving, there were no buses for the people. The people were like stranded to get back to their cars, and reports are that the Trump campaign hadn't paid the buses.
Of course they hadn't. They don't
The
pay
full
for anything.
amount.
He still owes everybody. Like, he still owes contractors for Mar-a-Lago.
How do you do that to your supporters, though? I mean, they come out there to support you and see you. At least give them a ride back. I mean, you can.
How many times do you have to be effed over by Donald Trump and still support him? Do you know what I mean? It's
I
like
don't
it's
know.
like it's like a girl who's been going back to the same abusive boyfriend That's what it's a toxic relationship, and I don't know how to break the cycle at this point.
Both Trump and Harris both like a child tax credit, but with different aims. So, Kamala is pushing for a version of the credit intended to fight child poverty, while Trump sees the program primarily as a tax cut for people on the higher up income scale. So it's like, this is why you listen to these rallies, because you want to see what is the difference between the candidates. What are they saying? And as we said last week, Kamala went on a long media blitz all week. She's continuing that, but she's also adding to it because she stepped up a major push for Black voters, especially Black men, because Black men have been complaining. They are very important demographic for her, because we're neck and neck. And basically, she released a plan to help Black men financially. She held interviews with 2 Black media outlets like Roland Martin and The Shade Room. And a lot of people was like, The Shade Room? For y'all that don't know what The Shade Room is, because we do have people that don't know.
It's like Black Twitter.
No, it's not. No, it's not. How dare you? Uh, it's a very popular blog site that a lot of people don't like, to be honest. But it's a very gossipy. They make a lot of stories up. I've been on The Shade Room. You never see them really praising. It's more about criticizing or gossiping. And they've gotten a little bit better because they were getting criticized a lot. But they have so many people that tune in and get their news from them. So it was a strategy. They have like 29.2 million followers.
Here's my question to you, because I think this is something that I've seen, several, I think CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, they've all kind of just like trying to deduce. What do you think will move the needle, right? That's kind of the conversation right now. Like, does going on The Shade Room or going on Howard Stern or going on, these media blitzes versus doing the town halls? Like, when people, like, are they appealing to their bases when they go to the town hall? Is that going to move the needle? Or is that already playing to their fans? Versus if Kamala's going on Fox News, which she's supposed to be doing this week as well, at least you'll have a chance to talk to people who are not going to be voting for her, and so or who aren't prone to be voting for her, and then she could possibly move the needle.
It's a strategy. In my opinion, they are holding her to a different standard than they're holding Donald Trump. They're not questioning him as hard. They're not. If Kamala did a rally where she starts just saying, forget the town hall and dance for 30 minutes to Cool in a Gang, it would be over.
Why you gotta be cool in the game?
My old ass come up with all that, the whispers. She started dancing to the 4 Tops.
And it's gotta be Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
I'll be enjoying that. Hey, but if she did that, they would, there would be people that telling her, let's stop, let's oust it. And so what you're seeing is this double standard. So I believe that her people are going, you know what, there is a double standard.
100%.
We got to deal with it. But at the end of the day, let's show why they need to vote for her. So she's hitting every nook and cranny that she talking to Charlemagne again.
Yeah, well, I love that. But I love Charlemagne. But I will say, I think to your point, listen, I mean, obviously as Black women, we always have to do the most, you know what I mean? Because we have to work 10 times as hard as anybody else. But I also think that everybody knows who Donald Trump is, right? I mean, we've seen him on The Apprentice. We know what a horrible president he was. But I mean, some people think he was a good president, so that's on them. But I think as a BP, Kamala has to stake her own claim on what her presidency would be. And that's kind of what she's trying to do. And in a way, it's very difficult because I think she is so loyal to Joe, as she should be. I mean, he's amazing, she's amazing, but she also has to distance herself from him because some people are not happy with his presidency and not happy with their finances right now. So I know when she was on The View, she had a little bit of a misstep because they asked her, what would you do differently than Joe is doing now? And she was like, I don't know. And that was an opportunity for her to go, to say something like, hey, Joe is an amazing president, but I'm a different person, and here's how I will build on what we've done together.
She can't do that because they will turn it around.
Yeah, maybe. It's 100% a difficult position to take, but I think that's what people are looking for. People who aren't already in her camp.
She's doing the best that she can. She's doing a lot of media. She even is on the cover of Vogue. Did you
Well,
see that beautiful
as
cover
she
of her?
should be. I mean, listen, I told you that she is just low key hot, and it was all the pantsuits that were that were covering up all the beauty. I mean, she's gorgeous. My mom loves her and just thinks that she's the epitome of what we want to see as women of color, in the White House, in politics, just a beacon of like what we stand for. And I'm so proud of her, regardless of what happens. I think she's ran an amazing campaign, and I will be, you know, glued to the TV on election night.
We still got plenty of time because there's a lot of things that's happening.
What is it, like 21 days? It's not a lot of time. I mean, it's like
It
3
is a lot of
weeks.
time for a mess up. I mean, when you have
Mm,
things like what Trump is doing, singing at different things, they're pushing for his medical records.
right.
Obama scolded black men.
And what do you think about that? I mean, I know he's gotten a lot of backlash for holding black men accountable, saying basically that if you're not going to vote for Kamala, it seems like you guys don't want to have a woman president. Like, what do you think about that?
Yeah, you can't tell grown folks what to do. Why you trying to
Right. Especially
tell? Dude,
blown ass black men. You can't tell
you
them what
can't
to
tell
do.
these black men what to like. You got to make them think it's their idea. So that's what you got to do. The good thing about all of this, before we move on, is that President Jimmy Carter, he lived long enough to vote for Kamala because early voting started in Georgia. So that's one of the things that he was determined to do. And so with that, it's just a historic moment.
It is. It's so historic.
Moving on, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and former MTV VJ Ananda Lewis, she says that her cancer has spread after she decided to keep her tumor. This is just a sad story, and I'm telling this because I want women to go get checked. It was a roundtable discussion on cancer that she was on CNN, and she said that, quote, "My plan at first was to get out excessive toxins in my body. I felt like my body is intelligent. I know that to be true. Other bodies are brilliantly made," she explained. "I decided to keep my tumor and try to work it out of my body a different way," she shared. Looking back on that, I go, you know what? Maybe I should have had the mastectomy. And she explained that she, pursued all these homemade remedies as well as medication, radiation, but she, didn't get like the proper mammograms because she felt like that was radiation. And it's a mess. So now she's at a stage 4. And I want to say something about mammograms. Yes, you are exposed to radiation, but the radiation is a small amount of radiation. It's like when you do a transatlantic flight, that's you get exposed to radiation. That's about the size of radiation that you get when you have a mammogram. And we keep doing things to explore cures for cancer, but there are preventative measures, and having a mammogram prevents, if you catch it early, you really can have a longer life. So we just want to send our best to Ananda Lewis, and hopefully, she can pull through with this.
Yeah, I just want to add on to that. And I think that, because again, we talk about, early detection, but we also talk about healthcare within the Black community or just in communities of color. And I think, we're so disenfranchised from having good healthcare in general. And for two reasons. We obviously don't get it because we don't have, insurance or whatever, the things that give us access. But also there is a kind of skepticism and a fear of going to doctors that I think is a part of our community. And I will tell you, I mean, I have several girlfriends, especially at our age, who have had breast cancer, and luckily they've had access to good health care, and they've all beat it. And so it is going and getting radiation and getting chemotherapy or whatever it is, that you can cure it if you go and take care of it. But I do understand it's a cultural thing to be afraid of doctors, because doctors haven't always serviced us well. And so I just would, urge people to kind of push past the stigma of, dealing with doctors and not having to listen to you. There's all this distrust going back to Tuskegee, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of distrust for modern medicine and doctors. But I will tell you, the Huxtables have broken that cycle, because my parents go to the doctor at least once a week. I'm like, where are you going to the doctor for now? They're like, oh, we got to have a test for the, like, they literally stay at the doctor because they want to make sure that they're healthy. And they are, and they're like, 70s and 80s. But, the cycle has to be broken where doctors are not the enemy.
Definitely, they're not. And, we still have a long ways to go when it comes to,
Yes.
especially breast cancer and cancer in
Yes.
general. You have celebrities that are announcing their breast cancer diagnosis. Jenna Fisher just did it, and
Yes.
Danielle Fishall did it.
I know who I worked with on Boy Meets World. I worked with her.
Wow.
That's my first job as a writer on Boy Meets World, so I have known her for years.
So
Yeah.
definitely get them tatas checked, y'all. Okay. Very, very important.
It's one of the most curable forms of cancer, by the way. So if you catch it early enough, you can go on to live a full and healthy life.
Definitely. I want to move on to something that happened this week that was historic. Elon Musk did like a reveal, and he had robots that were like lifelike robots. It was down here in one of the studios that he had. The robots, you can ask it questions because, of AI. It would answer the questions for you, and it's like a huge deal. And he's selling these robots. He's saying that the robot, the way they want to make it is that it can clean up your house, it can make you a drink, it can watch your kids for you. And right now, if you order them, they're like $20,000 to $30,000. And with are you getting a robot?
I mean, listen, the robots are kind of hot. So I'm just saying,
we got to get you a date, okay? Because if you
listen,
these robots are hot,
the robots can get it. Is what I'm saying. I mean, maybe this is generation 3. I mean, like, maybe this is the early version, but like 3.0, I'm thinking, might be able to get it. I mean, listen, the way the world's going, especially the way men are, you have a boyfriend. James, you got your robot. A single women, I'm just saying, I'm not opposed to it.
You sound like Slim Thug.
I am Slim Thug. That's what they call me.
No, you. I was reading about Slim Thug, right? He basically believes that men won't need women once the robots learn how to cook, clean, and have sex. He basically believes that the evolution of technology will gradually make women obsolete to men in modern society. And it comes off of this whole Elon Musk and Tesla's new Optimus robot. And so he's basically like, what we gonna need y'all for if you get the robots?
Well, first of all, Slim Thug, besides stealing my name, besides stealing my street name, men are already obsolete. I mean, we two can play that game. We don't need you to have a baby because we can have a surrogate. Like, what are y'all doing? Like, nobody's cleaning over here. So, like, if I could get a robot to come take out my trash and fix my car, put some oil in my car.
Nothing's like the real thing, baby. I don't care what y'all say. And you can always find somebody to clean your damn house. And where's he getting this? That's all women are for.
And that's what I'm saying. Nobody's cleaning over here. I'm not cleaning my own house anyway. So yeah, like, what are you talking about? But I can get somebody to take my trash out. That's all I need. I mean, does James take the trash out? Yeah, exactly.
That's his job.
Exactly. Can I do a full circle thing? We were talking about how when you ask a man to do something they don't want to do, like the Obama thing, when you tell a man, like, vote for this person. So when you tell James to take out the trash, he probably won't do it, right? But if you let it alone, he'll do it. Like, my husband's like, when I would be like, did you take the trash out? They would, like, on purpose not take it out.
No, see, I never question. See, that's the thing.
That's why he takes it out. That's why he takes it out.
Exactly. But see, that's the okay, Obama Jr. over there.
Ex-
Did you take
right?
the class out? Cause
I could
no,
have told you
no,
that. Yes, exactly. But
no.
man, if
Just
you,
let it go. Let it
yes,
happen.
yes.
Let it
That is
happen.
the lesson I've learned in my 48 years. Like at 28, I didn't know that. At 48, I know that.
Well,
Obama. And I'm sure Michelle knows that too. So
oh
I'm sure he
yeah.
takes
And so
other
you
crap.
can't tell men what to do. Just, tell them, what,
No.
this would make me happy, or I would suggest something. But, when James and I started going out, and once we started living together, there were certain things that I do and there's certain things that he does. And we just decided that's what couples are supposed to do. You decide on things. And so his thing was, he makes sure that I have water. He makes sure that I have my vitamins. He's always pushing for
Oh,
vitamins or something.
that's
He'll
so
put,
sweet.
but it's like chewable stuff. And I'm like, is he trying to kill me? What is happening? And he leave a little note and take 2 a day. And I'm like,
Oh, he
okay.
loves you.
Anyway, the last thing about the whole Elon thing was that there was this big scientific, because I'm an engineer. It was a scientific feat that happened. And Elon Musk's company, Starlinks, actually did a rocket launch, and the rocket launch came back
I
where
saw
the
that.
booster, and it's called a chopstick method, and the 2
Hmm.
arms caught the booster. And I'm like, wow,
That was
that
crazy.
that was crazy, because what he's trying to do is speed up the process to get to Mars, and he's also trying to do a commercial like travel program for people to be able to go into space. But it's also a problem with the environment. And I was wondering, why does he support Trump so much? Well, he's supporting Trump because I believe that he is dealing with a lot of environmental issues, and he has to deal with the FAA for a
Sure.
lot of things, because you just can't just take a rocket and launch it. You got to get approvals, all
Of
that kind of stuff.
course.
And so if he's with the Republicans and with Trump, they'll just, let him do a free for all. But even when he did the rocket launchers, the top part of the rocket landed in the Indian Ocean. And it's like, that's pollution.
Of
The
course.
the climate change people was going crazy. It was, oh my God, what's happening?
I would ask you, I mean, just because you are an engineer. I call you Hidden Figures. So Hidden Figures. What's the benefit of going to space? Do you think there is still a benefit given all of the factors that you brought up? Climate change, using all the resources. I mean, is there a benefit? Because I think there was, when we were in the 60s, to explore and to see that we could push the envelope scientifically, I think is important, right? I mean, there was a space race, and we're trying to see like all the things we could develop that could get us to space. And so I think that's what Elon's doing, and continuing to show, how we as humans can innovate, right? So I think that's exciting. But what's the end game?
The end game is power. It's ultimately power. They want to be able to make money. They want to be able to, just like you get on a plane, go to Paris. Oh, you can get on a plane, go to the moon, you go to
Right.
Mars. They want to see if there is life out there, which I believe that there is life and living, beings. And this is what scientists do. We all, they wonder and they do experiments, but we need to do it safely. And even like they say, when they were shooting off the rocket, there was a sonic boom, and everybody's house in that area was like shaking, like, oh God. And then when it came back down, it was like again. So it's like, that's going to have an effect on the environment. But to answer your question, I believe it's about power. It's about making money. And there's a little bit of what is out there, because we don't know what's out there. So everybody knows.
The follow-up is, would you go to the moon if you had the chance? Would you
Oh,
go on one of the
definitely.
rockets?
I
Would you
would.
really?
Oh yeah, I get on there in a minute. So
Look at you. You are
it
nosy.
might happen. So I'm working on it. I'm doing a grant to try to see if I can be an
What?
astronaut.
Lonnie Love, that would be amazing.
I would love that.
Cool. What if I went with you and I was next to you
No,
on the
that's
flight?
not happening.
What if I was like, Lonnie?
That's not happening.
I got
We're gonna
chicken
move
right.
on from science. We're gonna get into fashion because
I got the ticket right next to you.
something you can handle. Fashion, okay?
Okay, all
We want to
right.
give a shout out to Kate Moss and Tyra Banks. Kate Moss made her Victoria's Secret's debut in New York. She is 50 years old, and she did this jaw-dropping lace look and wings as I Love Rock and Roll was being played, and she just looked wonderful. I couldn't believe that this was her first time,
I'm shocked
doing.
too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's everybody that knows Kate Moss, she was very influential in the 90s, and she has never graced the Victoria's Secret's runway. This is why I tell you, old bitches, it's always something that you could do that's different. I'm going to the moon. Kate is on at the Victoria's Secret's runway. It's great. And Tyra Banks made her return to the runway. It's been about 20 years since she was on the runway. She came in all her black and was swinging her hips and doing her thing. I was like, oh, Tyra. So, women are making their moves.
What I love about this, and I went to high school with Tyra, so that's
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well, I mean, we went to the same high school, but we were there at different times.
Oh, you was like 10 years.
How dare you? But what I will say, what I love about this, besides the fact that they're both in their 50s, or I think Tyra's 50, right? She's about there.
Yeah, she's up there.
Back in the day when when they were young models, I think that the Kate Mosses, or she was like a waif, they called it, right?
Yeah.
And so she put the Tyras out of business, or Tyras, it was a very different body type. You could only be one type at the time. Now look at them sharing the runway together.
I love that. And something else that's, we just need things to make us feel good.
Yes.
Well, this week, the Metropolitan Museum of Arts announced that the Met Gala they have their theme. Their theme is going to be called Superfine, Tailoring Black Style, and it's based off of this book by this lady named Monica L. Milner, and the book was titled Slaves to Fashion, and it's like about Black dandyism and styling of the Black diaspora and things like that. And so it's exploring the style of Black men in the context of from the 18th century to the present day. So the co-chairs have been announced. My man, Carmen Domingo,
oh my God.
Like dapper for this. Lewis Hamilton, the race car driver, ASAP Rocky, thank you, Rihanna. We know why. Pharrell Williams and Anna Wintour. So they're all going to co-chair, along with the honorary co-chair, LeBron James. So my only fear.
Girl, I'm right here with you. Go
okay,
on.
Would you go first?
No, you go.
No, you go. You go. Tell me what your fear is.
I just like, oh boy, we have to walk a fine line. I don't want Anna Wintour showing up in some kind of slave outfit. I mean,
but they said it's slave times.
I know. I'm concerned. I have my concerns. Like, what are people going to be wearing? Like, we talk about appropriation. I mean, is this appropriation city? What are we doing?
Well, there is a dress code, but the dress code has not been announced yet. So they're going to announce the dress code.
If I see a bunch of Kardashians in freaking cornrows, I'm about to throw this table over.
Oh my God.
I mean, if Anna Wintour comes out in an afro, I'm like, what? No, we can't be doing this, right? I mean, this is a slippery slope. This is a dangerous territory.
We're going to stay tuned to this one because
yeah, we are.
I don't have a good feeling.
What is your thought? You put me out there. What are you thinking?
I'm like, when I first saw it, I'm happy for Coleman because he is so great. But then when I heard from slave to now, I'm like, oh,
oh Lord,
my goodness, like please don't do this. Please. Somebody gonna come in blackface. It's like,
of course, you know that's happening. I mean.
Well, this is why it's important to have the dress code and people adhere to the dress code.
What's the code? I mean, they published it? What's the code?
It'll be early next year. This is why they're being smart. They're announcing it now, and they're getting all this feedback. So if they listen to me, like, look, I don't want no. I don't want no Kuta Kente outfits.
No, I don't want any cornrow. Listen, you remember how they did Karl Lagerfeld a couple of years ago, and everybody came as his cat? I'm like, people go, they do the most. No afros, no cornrows for white people.
To my white friends, don't be afraid to ask somebody before you show up. Just
Please.
if you want to DM me and show me what you're thinking about,
Yes.
let me know. I want to talk about one thing because I've been on my Peloton. I got the Zep
Oh,
bound. That's not helping.
what do you mean? What do you mean?
I'm
Why
still
you
hungry. I'm still hungry.
wait? But what? Maybe you need to up the dosage.
I t- it's been a week. I'm still. This is
Well,
my second week.
but
I'm
you,
still
you
eating.
look great. You look really good. You people don't realize like how much weight you've lost. You look amazing.
I'm on a mission, so I finally got the Zep bound, and I'm like, okay, I don't feel anything. But anyway, we're gonna
Maybe
keep
it's
it going
almost
for
maybe it's almost vitamins that James is giving you. Maybe they don't go
this is
together.
sabotage. But I was on my Peloton because I'm starting to do that. Like I try to do it every day. It's been every other day. But what they have this great thing on Peloton where you can look at shows. I was like checking out this show, Kristen Bell and Adam Brody, called Nobody Wants This. And it's such a cute rom-com. I love Kristen Bell because she came on The Real, and every time I see her, she's just really, really nice. Erin Foster, who is David Foster, the Music Man's daughter, created this sitcom for Netflix. And it's just a cute, like if you're looking for, because I think that's what we're kind of missing right now is
Yeah.
like a really cute rom-com series. And, it's already been renewed for season 2. But it's such a cute thing that I was instantly like, I stayed on that Peloton 10 extra minutes because I
Aw.
wanted to finish it. So check it out. It's called Nobody Wants This. And it's really, 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 really cute.
Well, I think the rom-coms are back for sure. There's a couple of them that are, kind of taking over. Even in the movie theaters, I think there's a couple that people are going to see that. I think people, like you said, want romance. And Lonnie Love, clearly you're romantic. That's why you're getting on that Peloton, watching people fall in love.
I'm trying to lose this weight. Anyway.
And you're romantic.
Thank you, Erica. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to jump into today's topic with my girl, Marsha Warfield. This is Grown Ass Women talking.
Are we talking? What are we doing? What are we doing here, Lonnie Love?
Today's guest is a true comedy legend who's made her mark in Hollywood not once but twice. After stepping out of the spotlight for a bit, she's back with that same razor-sharp wit and fierce energy we all love. Her stand-up is a perfect blend of sarcasm, woke activism, unapologetic feminism, LGBTQ pride, and senior sexuality, creating a comedy gumbo that always leaves the audiences wanting more. Now, she's currently starring in 3 TV series: NBC's Night Court, Netflix's The Upshaws, and ABC's 911. She's touring with her Book of Marsha stand-up show and hosting her very own late-night YouTube show, Inside the Marshaverse. Please welcome my friend, the legend, Marsha Warfield. Hey, Marsha!
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, my
I'm so
goodness.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Oh my! You have been busy though, Marsha. I mean, what is it like working on 3 different shows?
Well, you take your work where you can get it in this business. But right now, I'm here in LA doing another night court. So um, I'm doing another episode, and then I'm off to Sacramento to do a show at the Guild Theater there.
Well, I grew up watching Night Court. I mean, I'm a huge fan, obviously, and I grew up watching it. And it was one of the first shows that, to me, was a diverse cast, right? So it was like so wonderful to see, a woman of color in a place of, dominance, for lack of a better word, and doing her thing. So I'm a huge fan, and I love the show. It's nice they're bringing it back too.
It is. It was a surprise. I mean, I knew
Yeah.
when they started doing the reboot that, they were going in a whole different direction. They were going with a younger demographic, and that was perfectly fine. I was one of the biggest supporters and fans of them, and hope that they would be successful, and they have been.
I have to say that I was doing my residency in Vegas, and one night someone came to me and said, Marsha Warfield is backstage. She wants to say hi to you. And I was like, what?
I know. Oh my
What? I
God.
mean, to have, have her as this wonderful example at the time of stand-up comedy. I mean, I've seen her on the Richard Pryor show. I studied her, and she was just so strong and bold. But for her to come to my little old comedy show,
Aw.
and we talked and we had such a great time. I love giving her flowers and telling her thank you for that, because that gave me the boost that I needed, Marsha.
Oh, well, thank
Oh,
you. And likewise, I told you, I hadn't been working. And so it was one of my first nights out. I said, I'm going to go see what's up with Lonnie. And I went by myself and asked if I could come backstage and say hi. And you said yes. And so we had a nice chat. We took a photo.
she said
Yep.
yes to you. She doesn't let me backstage. Like, right?
I had to keep you away.
Yeah, she was like, no, Lonnie's busy.
She eat all the snacks, Marsha. So,
Oh, well.
well, welcome to our podcast. And this week's grown ass topic is rediscovering yourself after 40. In a culture that glorifies youth and pressures us to have everything figured out by our 20s, a lot of us have realized who we were back then isn't necessarily who we need to be now. Life changes you, sometimes so much that you forget what even makes you you. So today we are diving into what it means to rediscover yourself, assess your wants and needs, and redefine who you are as you step into the new chapter of life. Marsha, you have talked openly about taking a break and
Right.
coming back, embracing the second wave of your career. How did you do it?
I made the decision once I wanted to come back that I was not the same person who left. I was, that woman was in her 40s. I was in my 60s, and I had a whole different perspective. And I didn't even remember the material I used to do. I had no idea. And so I decided to start over. I went back to the bars. I went back to the open mics. I went back to uh, bringer shows and whatever I could get stage time, and started building an act 5 minutes at a time until I felt confident enough to say I'm a comedian again. But I knew that it was not a continuation, so to speak. It was a new beginning. It was starting all over, a whole new life.
I want to go back though, because I just want to, for the people and the young, we do have young listeners, to understand your, at the time before you took the break, who was Marsha Warfield? Because I know who you are, but I want to hear from you, like the history of the stand up, the shows that you did, Richard Pryor. Give us a little bit of that.
I started in Chicago. I'm from Chicago. And at that time, open mics, comedy clubs, all those things were relatively new. We were making the transition from the cabaret era, where people worked in supper clubs and that sort of thing. And there weren't so many concerts, comedy concerts especially. If you were a stand-up, you wanted to find a singer that would take you on the road with them and be an opening act. You were a perpetual opening act. And I think it was Richard Pryor who flipped the script. And when he was doing one of his albums, he was the headliner, of course, of a concert, but he had Patti LaBelle open for him. That was huge because to that point, I had not heard of that happening. And so the comedy clubs, the Tonight Show had moved to Los Angeles from New York. New York had been the mecca and the hub. But with the Tonight Show moving and the Comedy Store blowing up, it moved to Los Angeles. So I did stand up in Chicago for a couple of years. And then I moved to Los Angeles. I was 22, and I went to the Comedy Store the first night I was in town, and the guy at the door was this nice looking black guy, nice little fro, and he had on tennis shorts. And back then, everybody was tying their sweaters around their neck like some kind of preppy something.
Yeah.
But then when I said, I approached him, he was working the door, and I said, I told him my name and asked him if I could come in. He said, "Oh, yeah, baby, you can come on in. There's no big thing." I'm like, with this voice, there's a brother, I know this language here. And he's looking all Beverly Hills, and it was John Witherspoon.
Shut up.
And
Wow.
from that point on, John had a nice butt. But anyway, Monday, open mic night, I went on and got passed over. They told me to call in for spots. And I didn't see it as like this big career boost thing. I was like, okay, this is just a way to get some stage time. And so I started calling in and getting spots. But I didn't get a lot. I didn't get a lot until I started volunteering to follow whoever was the hard to follow comic. And at that time, nobody was harder to follow than Richard Pryor, and nobody wanted to follow him. Being from Chicago, and we think we're gangsters and everything. I was like, I don't care who's on stage. I'll follow anybody. He's gone. And,
Okay.
it's my turn now. And so I did. And that's how I got stage time and how I got not the Tonight Show, the Richard Pryor show. He got the series not long after that.
Right.
That was in 77. And Paul Mooney, who I had met the first night I got to town, Mr. Paul Mooney.
Yeah, that voice.
Yes,
That
yes.
voice.
And he said, "Well, we need an ensemble." He said, "But y'all can do it. These guys here, they can do it as well as anybody else." And so he booked us all out at a Comedy Store. Me, well, Tim Reed was working at the time, but Tim Reed and Sandra Bernhardt, Robin Williams was
Wow.
new in town. I think it was one of the first things Robin did. That and a movie called Can I Do It Till I Need Glasses? He and
What?
I were both in Can I Do It Till I Need Glasses? And we both played sperm.
It's just, fearlessness throughout your life, Marsha, it seems, and you've had the success with Night Court and with your stand up, but then there came a point where you just stopped.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why you stopped and then what made you get back?
Well, and there were a lot of things going on in my life. My mother and my aunt, the two people who had raised me pretty much, were both battling cancer. And they both passed away in 1995, within
Sorry.
2 months of each other. Like I said, I did my talk show was 92, I think, 91, 92, and then I did Empty Nest for a while, and then I did a lot of guest appearances. I was doing game shows. I was working clubs and colleges and opening for big name people. But then I was just spiraling, and I thought I would take a couple of weeks, and get myself together. I didn't realize just how much I was grieving and, overwhelmed and stuff. I thought I was Superwoman. We all do.
We all do.
And we are, and had I had, and I don't mean to blame anybody, but I didn't really have a support group, somebody who was in, similar circumstances who I could confide in and cry on their shoulder. It was like I had been the one facilitating everything and making sure that everybody could do what they needed to do.
Well, that's another thing I think, again, the grown ass woman of it all. Like, my mom went through a similar thing where my mom was a principal for many years, had a career and all that. And then when her parents got ill, and she has like 5 brothers, And who was the one who had to step up? Not to male bash, but like my mom. So my mom literally retired early to take care of her parents. So like, do you think that as grown-ass women, we, put ourselves second to anything because we have to step up in those kind of moments?
We do. And I've seen a lot of women in similar situations. In fact, and I don't know, they both have been public about it online, but Yvette Nicole
Brown, yeah.
Brown is talking about being a caregiver. Leanne Lord also took care of her parents until they passed away.
Right.
And I see so many other people, many of who are trying to maintain in the business, but it's a huge struggle.
Huge.
And we are raised, and I'm 70. I was born in 1954. I was taught to submit, to put myself second. I was taught to let him win, to live throughout some man, either your father and then the man he sold you to into marriage.
Right. No, you're 100% right. Yeah.
And that didn't work out because you ended up coming out.
Right.
Well, I didn't know I was
So
gay.
joke's on them.
Right. I wish I had known. I had so much. My life would have been so different. I'd have been macaroni. Been a whole different person. But
So when did you find out you were?
I fell in love when I was 23. And I didn't know that's what was going on. I just knew there was this woman that I didn't know how to talk to, and I didn't know how to relate. And I told my boyfriend, I don't know why she makes me so nervous. I don't blah 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 blah, and on and on. And I said, I don't know why I like her so much. And he looked at me and said, "Like, bitch, you in love." And I went, and it was like a light bulb went off in my head, and I went, it makes sense now. Okay, I'll see you later. And
Bye.
that relationship never happened, but it was the first time I realized that I might not be the straight woman who just can't find the right man.
Right.
I love
But I
that.
had gotten married. I got married when I was 18 years old.
Oh, wow. Oh, you had to go through so much, Marsha. And it's the thing, it's like, in your mind, what are the key lessons you've learned about yourself through this whole process that you still stand in, even at 70?
I learned that I am still healing my inner child. 70 years old, and I am still healing my inner child. I'm still realizing what's my fault and what's not. And so it's easier now to shed some of those burdens and guilt, the guilt of not being able to save everybody. I used to say, who makes me laugh? Who picks up my slack? And nobody. And that's true for everybody. Nobody is going to do that for you. But I had to really reassess everything and start trying to heal me, for me, and put me first, which was, as I was raised, that was a taboo.
Yeah, 100%.
To think of yourself first is selfish. It's not something you do. And it's really something you have to do before you can really help anybody else.
Absolutely. Did you learn that in therapy, or have you been in therapy? 'Cause that sounds like very, like, inner child seems like a very therapy kind of, no, but in a good way.
I learned the words for it online.
Oh, okay.
I did. I went through the process, and that time off alone, thinking, trying to figure stuff out is what really helped show me the way, and going through the things I went
So
through.
self-reflection, very much so, sounds like.
I spent a lot of time, looking at me and what's my fault and what's not. It's easy to find out what's your fault, but what are you not responsible
Right.
for? You
Mm-hmm.
know, we take so much on, and
Mm-hmm.
so you have to say, that ain't my business. That ain't my fault.
Right.
I
I
didn't
love that.
do
Yeah,
that.
you got to stop blaming yourself. And I know a
Yeah.
lot of grown women, they blame themselves for things that happened in the past. I mean, and you got to realize, we all came up at a different time. And now that's why I tell these younger women, take whatever is out there, because it's the people like Marsha Warfield that have paved the way,
Mm-hmm.
especially when I'm talking to young comedians. They paved the way for us, for her to be this strong black woman on television, and to do stand up and to amass this tremendous following of people. They have it a lot easier. But I would ask you, Marsha, what advice would you give to someone who feels lost or uncertain about their identity, and they're 40 and up?
I say, I call it, for black women, I call it the sapphire spirit. Um, the angry black woman started showing up in the 50s.
Mm-hmm.
The outspoken black woman who said, no, I need alimony. I need, marriage was a whole different thing back then. And speaking out against the things that civil rights, feminism, everything. And so she was called the angry black woman. At the same time, the Sapphire character on Amos and Andy was an outspoken woman who was emasculating and made men feel small and all that kind of stuff. And they married those two. So the Sapphire became the angry black woman, and it was a put down.
Yes.
But that is the reflection of a fear of a strength. That is somebody saying, whoa, this woman, when she finds herself, is going to be a threat to me. So we will mock her. We will make fun of her. And I say, embrace that. Embrace that
Yes.
sapphire that terrifies people. To believe that you can emasculate a person by looking at them or talking to them, that's a power that you haven't recognized and they have. And so to protect themselves, they minimize that power,
Yes.
and then you
Absolutely.
accept that.
Mm-hmm.
Stop accepting that. Yes, I can emasculate you with a look. Now,
Yeah.
Hell no.
Well, that look just
okay,
emasculated me.
and stand up. And that's one of the things I love about Kamala Harris. She has a stare that, and she looks at you, and then her eyes narrow, and then they narrow again until you understand that she does not, she's not playing with you. And she never loses her femininity. She never becomes masculine. She shows her feminine power, her sapphire spirit, and nobody has an answer for it. It's like
Yes, Marsha.
you're exposing that fear of feminine power. And so I'm all about promoting that. We've been indoctrinated to believe that you're the weaker sex. You are the life givers. You are, you are the creator. I believe I founded the Church of Jesus because the divine mother, she's umbilically connected to her creations, and we're all born of that spirit that's in nature, in every species. She creates life. She brings life from spirit to flesh. So, and she's connected to the first mother, the nature. So you have to, or at least I do, I have to celebrate that, and I have to. It's not about putting anybody else down. It's about no, but you can't put me down.
That's right. You only have one life. And Marsha Warfield, you are living your life. Thank you for joining us today, Marsha. It's always a pleasure. And for our listeners, be sure to check out Marsha's show, Midnight in the Marshaverse, on YouTube. It's a fantastic show. You can watch it anytime. But midnight
Okay.
is the time. That's the time, okay?
You know the nighttime is the right time.
Yes, Marsha.
It's
Yes.
on YouTube. And check out her other shows, Night Court on NBC Peacock, The Upshaws on Netflix, and 911 on ABC.
The girl's got a lot of shows.
She working, okay? When we come back, we're going to get into the takeaway with Lonnie. This is Grown Ass Women Talking. Thank you, Marsha.
Thank you both. I had such a ball being here with you.
Okay, welcome back. Now it's time for the takeaway. Lonnie, just school us on what we learned today.
Well, I think we could not have gotten a better guest than Marsha Warfield as an example of rediscovering yourself after 40.
I
mean,
agree.
literally, she is comedy history. When you're trying to rediscover yourself, sometimes you have to change priorities. You have to change those personal things that's happening. Even like maybe, and I hate to say it, if your kids is not helping you get your priorities straight, you got to put them in a different atmosphere. If it's that love thing, that boo thing, like if James is getting on my nerves, I put him over here in a different, because what did Marsha say? We have to put ourselves, you can't help nobody else unless you help yourself. Why when you get on the airplane, they tell you, Erica, what? If there's an emergency,
put your mask on first.
Put that mask on first before you go around helping everybody else. So remember, sometimes you have to change your priorities when you're trying to rediscover yourself. Also, you got to let go of past expectations. Sometimes you got to forgive yourself for things that have happened that you cannot change, and you know, because there's no way to have growth. And like you said, Erica, you also may need therapy. You're never too old for therapy, okay? It's like, I'm like, go find you a therapist, okay? Somebody to talk to you or something like that. Remember, when you're trying to rediscover yourself, have confidence in your own self. Maybe you need to walk a little more, drink a little more water, maybe cut down on that alcohol, cut down on that sex, Erica. I'm just saying, you know, when you try to rediscover yourself, it's like,
don't be in my business. This is about Marsha.
Also, build new relationships, have friendships, partnerships. You know, when you're rediscovering yourself, don't just cut off and say, I only want to keep this set of friends. Sometimes you need new friends and new discoveries. So
what are you trying to tell me, Lonnie? Are you trying to get rid of me?
Erica, any final words?
Where's James right now? Because I feel like you put him in a closet. You just talking
James
about
is at work.
No,
That's
you
he's supposed to be.
James, knock 3 times if you're in the closet.
Like James is at work.
You just said
is that all you have to say?
You just said you were going to give James a timeout. I'm worried about James. That's all I'm saying.
No, I said sometimes, like when you are trying to rediscover yourself, and I was using him as an example, which I always do.
Yes.
You know, if your children or your family, your boo thing, you know, they're coming at you and you trying to, you know, rediscover yourself, or you're trying to get through a certain problem, sometimes you have to be selfish. That's what Marsha was actually saying, and I totally agree with her. So I was just reinforcing that. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Grown Ass Women Talking. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star rating, please, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram or YouTube at GAWT Pod. Come see me as I perform stand-up in Phoenix, Stand Up Live, November the 10th. I will be at the Miami Improv December 15th. Tickets are on sale. Just check those websites. It'll be there. Thanks again to Marsha Warfield for joining us. We'll see y'all next week.
Bye. Love to everyone. Grown Ass Women Talking is a collaboration between True Love Productions, Dunnigan Lane Productions, and Heart Media Productions. Our executive producers are Lonnie Love, Erica Montolfo, and Siege Pokinghorn.
This episode was produced by Siege Pokinghorn and edited by Nicholas Crawford. Our music is by Cole Curtis. Special thanks to Elizabeth Munch